Excellent. Hi, everybody. I won't leave the call this time, so the recording won't stop. How about that?
Okay, welcome everybody. Just wanted to say that we'll wait a couple more minutes until the meeting populates itself a bit more and until it's 6 o'clock. So maybe we'll start at 6 o'clock or a couple of minutes after. The order of today's meeting is that first we'll do our itinerary. Second, the packing list. We'll go over forms that are missing from students. And we'll also talk a little bit about the code of conduct with you all tonight. So that's our order of business. Okay, and so I'm going to unmute myself for a bit and then I'll come back on in a couple minutes. I'll just put the video back on. Hi, everybody. We're just still getting some more people in. The doors were locked, and so we had to have a student go and open some doors for us. So we'll be starting in just a couple of minutes. Thanks for your patience. there. Okay, yeah, of course. Okay, and let's see if I've got it up here. Okay, so can everybody still see me on the chat?
I think so.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to our junior tour meeting. So we've been welcoming the parents who are in the room, and now we're ready to start. We are going to go over our itinerary first. And so I think everybody has that up on their chat. I should actually introduce myself because not everybody has actually met us. Yeah. So I'm Miss Kilburn, and I teach your child either intermediate band, or I taught them beginner band in the first semester, or I teach them junior strings or symphony. And my colleague who is running our tech tonight, our tech end of things, is Elizabeth Riegert. And she teaches your child junior strings or beginner band this semester, or taught them intermediate band last semester. So hopefully that clears any confusion up if you were wondering who's who. So we are going to Loon Lake, and we're really excited about this trip. And I just want to go over in detail the itinerary. And if you have any questions at the end of the itinerary or as they come up, you're welcome to write your questions in the chat, or you guys are welcome to raise your hands when you have a question. We're going to leave early in the morning before school starts for the students at 7:45. So we need to get here earlier than that to load our large instruments and percussion onto our buses. Also, we load our luggage in the morning. So we have to load a few different things onto the bus. It will take some time. The students will be given an exact time on Friday lunch meeting as to what time to arrive at the school. Some students will arrive at 7, whereas other students will arrive a little later. Like if you don't have a large instrument or you're not on the percussion packing team, then you will come closer to 7:25. Okay, so we will be leaving at 7:45 to get to Loon Lake. The good news is that Loon Lake is only an hour's drive, so it's really quite close. And when we do arrive, there's going to be some time still before lunch. So I'm recommending that everybody bring a snack with them. Some students don't like to eat breakfast, or like that's like really early for them to eat breakfast before they go. So they may prefer to have some kind of breakfast on the bus. Just a general note about the bus is that we're like never allowed to have dairy on buses because of the upholstery on seats. So just whatever snack students bring, make sure it's not like a milky snack. And when we arrive, we will be going into 2 different groups at 8:45 a.m. We drop our room luggage off. Students are signing up for rooms right now as we speak. The room sign up closes tomorrow. If students are not like favoring a certain like student to be sharing a room with, like if it's fine if they don't sign up, we'll find them a spot. But there is a form that went out at 3 p.m. today.
Yeah.
That went out at 3 p.m. today, and that closes at 12:30 p.m. tomorrow because 12:15 p.m. tomorrow because in the afternoon, Ms. Riegert has to get the whole list off to Loon Lake of who's rooming with whom. And of course, we can help figure out the rooms if people are confused, but male identifying students room with male identifying students, and female identifying with female identifying. And then if a student does not fit into like male or female, then they have a conversation with us and we help them figure out where to room. Did you have a question? It varies. Do you have that exact information?
Yeah,
It's 1 student per
I
bed.
do.
They're all twin beds. Some rooms have 2 twin beds. Other rooms have, I believe, 4. We were a little bit confused with the list, whether there might be 1 cabin that has rooms of larger than 4.
So there's a whole bunch of different cabins, and they all have very different numbers that you can put people in. One of them has 2 people to a room. One of them has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people to a room. And one of them has 8 to 9 people in a room.
And when students sign up, we're asking them for who their request is for a roommate, but also who, if anybody, they would not feel comfortable rooming with. So we made sure to ask that question too, like not just because you're not friends with somebody, but if there's somebody that like you've had a previous conflict with, and we know that you should not be in the same room as them. So they've been asked both of those questions. And we're also quite well aware of like who are close friends and who are not based on like what we see in our classrooms. So we'll make sure that the students are in a space that is comfortable. I'm sure that Loon Lake will be okay with like a couple of minor changes after today, but we are not going to be able to do like any large, massive changes after today. Okay, any questions in the chat about the rooms?
Yes. One of them was about the Summit kids. The other one is about the Strathcona kids.
I know everybody's gone this week.
Yeah. Strathcona, I have to figure out who's on that trip, but I will reach out to a teacher who's on the trip to get those kids signed up. I think
The lead teacher there is Mr. Byron,
right.
but I
And
mean,
I think most of the kids that are on Strathcona are kids who, there's not many of them. It's a very small group of music kids on Strathcona. And I know who most of them are friends with.
okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions about the rooms?
Not yet.
Okay, great. So I'm going to continue. We are doing a welcome with Pinnacle Pursuits, and the whole purpose of the Pinnacle Pursuits part of the activities are that we're really hoping students will get a chance to get to know each other better. Also that students will be working on team building and communication skills. These are all things that I specifically asked for Pinnacle Pursuits to work on with our students, as I noticed that some students are making like really strong connections in the music program, and then some students are not making as strong connections. And we're really hopeful that this trip will help students to feel connected. We also want everybody to feel like rewarded about being a member of the music community at Van Tech. I know that it's not like technically the year-end event, but it should feel celebratory. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Pinnacle Pursuits seem very professional.
Are you muted, Amanda?
Oh, am I? Nope. Are people having a hard time hearing me?
Just one.
Okay. Does anybody else have a hard time hearing me? Like I come talking pretty loud.
No, I don't think.
Okay. All right. Okay, so where was I? Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, I can. Okay, you know what? I think I'll move on from that. Okay. Thank you. All right. So when you're not doing the Pinnacle Pursuits team challenge, you'll be in instrumental workshops on the first day. So there's going to be a rhythm workshop with Kate Johnson. Kate Johnson is a alumnus of ours who played the drums at Van Tech. She was a percussion section leader. She's absolutely incredible. She did some drumming at CAP. And then she also went on to take on some roles in Victoria. So she was playing for some like Army and Navy bands in Victoria. So she's a really wonderful student, also like a wonderful alumnus student. And we like for our kids to actually get a chance to connect with these people who are not that old, but who graduated from Van Tech and can kind of give them like, you know, that kind of perspective of of a young university age student's perspective. So that's Kate Johnson doing the rhythm workshop. And then on the other side, we have strings technique with Mayan Asmusha. And Mayan was our concert master. A few years ago. Mayan is one of the most brilliant violinists I've ever taught. And so Mayan's coming in and working strings technique with the kids. While the kids are either, if they're not a strings player, they'll be in the rhythm workshop. If they are a strings player, they'll be with Mayan. And then we're flipping. So the rhythm workshop 2 with Kate will be an advancement on rhythm workshop 1 if the students are not also a brass technique. Like for example, if your child plays percussion, which a couple people's child only plays percussion, Then what Kate will do is she'll scaffold the lesson so that the next one for the percussionists, and also hopefully use them as like leaders in the second workshop. Anthony Dang is our alumnus from a few years ago. He went on to study French horn at UBC. He was also a trombonist here at Van Tech before he went on to do French horn, and just an incredible musician. He's also studying to become a teacher. And so this is a really nice opportunity for him before he does his practicum next year to work with students under some guidance. Woodwind technique with Tessa Bellamorders. Tessa is a saxophone player. She went to UVic and is also studying to become a teacher. So we have quite a few like teacher hopefuls on our trip for our chaperones. Yes.
I need to bring you backwards, but I'm just.
No worries.
I know that because my child is not in this semester.
Yes.
Did he not receive the sign-up sheet and?
It was posted in the general music program team. Are you Cora? Yeah. Did we get Jay's paperwork today?
No, Cora said, yeah, Cora has it.
Oh, okay. So Jay probably just didn't get tagged because he wasn't on the roster yet when I tagged kids. So I can tag him now.
Okay.
But it's in the general music program team. But you're right, it's difficult for the students to hit all the messaging because we haven't had an ability to talk to them like on the day-to-day basis, just like through email to parents and students as well as through our team.
I guess my other concern is that because he's not actually in the program, he might not know any of the kids at all.
He'll know the kids. He'll know Vince is on this trip, Aaron Serpis, Elzar, right? Like, so there's a bunch of kids from semester 1 bands that are going on the trip. So he will know quite a few. Plus there's a lot of grade 8 string students as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so lots of grade 8s in general going on the trip.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, any questions in the chat?
Not yet.
Okay.
If they come up, I'll let you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so after a day of like quite a bit of learning, and I just want to show you that if you're not doing the morning Pinnacle Pursuits, then you do Pinnacle Pursuits in the afternoon, so it flips after lunch. Lunch requests, I think what we've decided on based on what students have responded to in the team on our form was that it would be pizza for lunch. And there's all of our options can be made vegan, can be made vegetarian, can be made gluten-free. So if there's issues there, it's pepperoni pizza though for the kids who are able to eat pepperoni pizza. And the evening dinner, chicken thighs, because it was a cross between chicken thighs and lasagna. And then the lunch was a cross between chicken strips or pizza. So we decided to go with like pizza at lunch and chicken thighs at dinner. And again, there will be a vegetarian option. Things can be made, accommodations for on site. And the breakfast is like a hot breakfast of like eggs and bacon, but also cereals are available if students don't eat meats or eggs. And the
Cold and hot cereal.
Cold and hot cereal is available as well. And then lunch the following day is the day we leave. We decided on chicken strips.
On the second day?
Yeah, I believe chicken
Chicken
strips.
strips,
Chicken
yeah.
strips, because those two options were so popular for the day one. We went with chicken strips for the next day. So I'm curious to see what their vegan, gluten-free, like, and other options are. I'm also in that camp. So yeah, so we understand and we make sure that the students are given like the food that they need. But if your child gets like hungry or snackish in between meals, then just send them with some snacks, like no problem. The seniors on their trip brought lots of snacks with them to like in between meals if they don't like eating just, you know, one meal for breakfast, one meal for lunch and stuff.
We do also have like granola bars.
Yeah, we supply granola bars. We'll
if
bring
a
some
kid, like,
oranges.
Is hungry, they should not sit there and think to
No.
themselves, I'm hungry and I don't have anything to eat.
Yeah, they can come ask
Yeah.
us. But because we're at a facility like this, it's not like food's available all day, all the time.
Yeah.
Like it's like planned meals. So make sure to be aware and, you know, bring extras if you need to. Of course, yeah.
If you happen to have a super picky eater,
Mhm. Is Sammy also vegetarian? Okay. Does he like vegetarian pizza?
Yeah, he likes.
Okay, good.
But other than that, it's like cheese and that. Like, it's a very.
Fair enough.
vegetarian, So like, is there any way to know what the option will be ahead, so I can let you know?
When
we
I
ask them?
send it off
I
tomorrow.
would like to know
yeah.
too, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I'm wondering as well.
Yeah,
I know, it would be great for us to know, like, because what do you do with chicken strips when they're like made for gluten-free?
yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
And I don't know, for like vegetarians, how do you turn chicken thigh into a vegetarian meal?
yeah.
I'm also wondering, I am wondering the same thing, to be perfectly honest, yes. I'm assuming they have, but it's not a bad idea to check, just to make sure, right? We don't want to wind up in a situation where we don't have food for people.
Just for the chat, for anyone who missed it, kids who are on Strathcona or Summit trip, we have asked their sponsor teachers on the trip to ask them who they want to room with. So, because I know
Yeah.
Summits, for example, have a no phone policy like on their trip. So don't worry about those kids. I've dealt with them separately.
Okay,
Yeah, just because that's come up a couple extra times in here too.
okay, perfect, thank you. All right, so in the evening, after some rest and relaxation and cleanup time, we're going to be having our dinner on site, followed by an evening of senior leader-led activities. So those senior leaders are students who've applied for the position, and they come as like mini chaperones, essentially. So they don't have the same role as a chaperone. Like, we do the room checks and we do all of the actual like chaperone duties, but in addition to us, we have underlings who also help with students who are like feeling upset or who need a little extra attention or who don't feel comfortable coming to an adult. I think most of the kids feel comfortable coming to Elizabeth and I, but just in case, they're there as well for students to go to with questions or concerns. And in the evening, they are planning entertainment for us. So it's really up to them what they end up doing for the entertainment for the evening, and then also up to how the kids feel. And so they're also being trained to be flexible. They've done these workshops in how to lead games on the last senior tour. And we're only accepting people who were on the senior tour for this tour. So they're all prepped and ready to go with some fun activities for the students in the evening. And then afterwards, it is bedtime. So we'll do like a combination of different stuff, some active things, but also some like quiet downtime games for students. So everybody has something to do. We're hoping that the weather will be nice and we can have a campfire. Maybe, did we ask about the marshmallows and
Oh,
graham
no.
crackers?
I
Okay.
will.
So we were also wondering if maybe people want to bring like stuff to make s'mores or that kind of thing, like a night snack that you can grill on a campfire, which would be a lot of fun because it is an area that has campfires. Okay, when it says room check-in time for sleep lights out, we cannot control whether students have their lights out or not. We can only suggest and recommend and hope that students will try to sleep. We also know that some students have totally different sleep schedules. I know some of your children go to bed early, like I go to bed early, like I like to try to be in bed like around 10:30. I know some students are likely not going to bed until midnight regularly. So what I would say is that we recognize that every child has their own kind of like sleep schedule, but just to be respectful of the early birds in the room who need to go to sleep and need to turn the lights off. You know, you can always bring like a book to read quietly, that kind of thing. If you need a little bit more time to like unwind in the evening before you fall asleep. And speaking of sleeping, we'll get to the packing list, but there are some essential items that you need to bring for the sleeping portion because they supply the twin beds, but they don't do the linens. The linens are, believe it or not, an extra $110 per bed. So clearly we are not charging, $355 for this trip. I instead just bring a sleeping bag, a pillow, right? So it's like inside camping,
Yeah.
essentially on a mattress. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are bathrooms in each of the lodges.
Yeah.
Do we know how many or what the layout is? I was a little confused when I was looking, but they don't have to leave inside.
Yeah. that was also in this email here. It's different for each one, but most of them are like 4 rooms per bathroom
Okay,
shared. And so
Shared
it'd be
bathroom.
like dormitory style.
dorm style,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, there's like a campsite kind of style,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah, of course. How many students in a room? We don't, we have different room configurations. Some rooms will only be 2 students. Some rooms are 4. Some rooms are 9. All rooms have just twin beds. Yeah, if your child like is concerned about sharing a room with a larger number of people, or you are, then just send us a message and we'll try our best to get them into one of the smaller rooms.
There is a comment section on the form that they can like write things that they
Write
have
things in
concerns
there,
about.
yeah. So, but they're all different. Yeah, just provide email if you have any concerns, or whose parent are you? Michael, okay, Michael's out, yeah. So there's in the comment section of the form, you can also get Michael to fill out his like, if he has like any concerns about rooming with lots of people. I know some of the kids will definitely want the large rooms. They will want to be with lots of people, and some people will not. So that's good for us to know. Okay. Yeah, the next, oh yeah, so about sleeping and lights out. So just being respectful of each other in the room means going, doing quiet activities if you can't get to sleep right away, and just noticing how everybody else around you is feeling, and being respectful of their needs as well as your own. Okay, after they're in the rooms, they absolutely cannot leave their rooms. And so we'll make sure that there is a chaperone in each of the lodges.
Which is gonna be
Tricky.
Yeah.
We need to figure that out. Obviously they can go to the washroom in the night.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but the trick is that they really shouldn't be going back and forth between each other's rooms, but the washroom, of course. You may use the washroom in the night. Okay. So, are we good for day 1 or okay. Day 2? So this day we are going to be doing our clinics with our hired clinicians from the VSO. So Kristen Reardon is going to be there for JSO, for beginner concert band, as well as intermediate concert band. Meanwhile, when students are not doing those concert band clinics, if they are in junior string orchestra, they will do forest laser tag in the morning, which I know some of the kids were pretty excited about. And they will then do leadership with Mr. Van if they're not in JSO as well. And then it flips. So we're making sure that everybody gets a chance to do everything. There's a couple kids like that come to mind who are in intermediate concert band and junior strings, or they're in beginner concert band and in junior strings. And to be honest, they don't get to do one of everything. Instead, they have to pick one. And it's okay if they really want to do forest laser tag instead of do the leadership with Mr. Van, if that's what they prefer. Or who knows, maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they're not like an active, I want to go out into the woods kind of kid, in which case they are welcome to do the leadership workshop. Yeah. Yeah. He sure is. Yeah, so we always get counselors to go with us on our trip, as well as administrators. And Mr. Van is such a wonderful counselor. He goes on every trip that we've ever been on, except for with his grade. Yeah, he always goes on our music trips with us. So you'll know that if your child continues all the way to grade 12, then good chance that Mr. Van will be on every one of their trips. Yeah, which is great because he's a wonderful chaperone and great to have around. Okay, we're doing our junior strings clinic in the afternoon with Bill Rousen, and that's the last clinic of the day. Meanwhile, if students need the extra clinic time because they need one more, there's going to be a music appreciation workshop with Aiden Quach. And Aiden Quach is another alumnus who is studying to become a teacher. So this is a third alumni that I've mentioned, and he's really wonderful. He does a lot of volunteering with kids already. He's already volunteering at Van Tech. And he has a history also of being a music council president at our school. Actually, so does Kate
He
Johnson,
was also concert master. of the
concert
band.
master of concert band. Yeah. And he played viola. So like we have like such a nice, wonderful group of chaperones coming with us. That day we leave. We would have actually had a longer day at Loon Lake on day 2, but they needed us out of there because they have another group coming in. So we're gone at 2 o'clock, and we'll be back. We're assuming around 3:30. I don't know how bad traffic will be then there. And we're trying to also aim to be back after like the after school traffic of like rate at 3. So we're trying to aim to be back right at 3:30. So it's not as congested. The bus comes and leaves from down there on Slocan. So yeah, Slocan at the bottom of the driveway is where our buses park for loading and unloading. So that's where you can expect to pick your child up. Or if they're used to walking home, they're welcome to walk home from there as well. But we'll stay until every last child is on their way for the weekend. Great. Okay. So I hope that answers any questions you might have had about the workshops. Do we have any questions about the workshops or how the day is going to be run?
None in chat.
Okay. So now I'm going to move on to the packing list. So just a reminder that it is, I guess you guys can all see this too. That may be a bit annoying. Move that down there. Oh, not really. Okay. So remember that it is still spring and the weather is really unpredictable. Like one day it can be quite warm and the next day it can be quite cool. So I recommend looking up the weather a day before, but also packing layers for warm or cool weather as well as rainproof. I am concerned about students getting wet if it's like a lot of the activities we're doing are outside. So if it's wet out, they're going to be quite uncomfortable unless they're wearing like rain gear. And I'm also suggesting that students bring like an extra backup outfit because they really only need one outfit for day 2. But what happens if they get really muddy or really wet or uncomfortable or something happens? And just such a good idea to bring a backup outfit so that you can change if you are uncomfortable. We recommend long, comfortable pants for outdoor activities, shorts. Well, you never know. It could be warm. It's not warm right now. So t-shirt and long sleeve shirt, socks and underwear, rain jacket, items to layer like a hoodie or sweater, especially if we end up doing a campfire, you want to be warm outside in the evening, good walking shoes or running shoes, ideally water resistant, something or other, just in case, a light jacket, sun hat or baseball cap for sun protection. I find that actually came up on our last trip. That students didn't like, were like, oh, I wish I had brought a hat. They really had wished that they had brought a hat because it was suddenly, boom, so sunny out. We'd gone for so long and it had been like rainy and cloudy and cold. And suddenly we're in Victoria and it was bright and sunny and absolutely gorgeous out. And we all got a little bit too much sun actually, because it got suddenly very hot and sunny. So students were wishing they'd had sun protection for their heads. Sunglasses too, which I actually am going to add to this right now because I didn't put that there. Okay.
There was a good question in the
Yeah,
chat
sure.
while you're typing. Somebody asked about should students in band and strings bring both instruments? The answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah, they'll do both workshops. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Their stand? Yes. So folder, sheet music, pencil, instrument. So when you bring your instrument, couple things. I know this sounds funny, but check to make sure your instrument's in your case. I have been on trips, 2 trips, where students came with just their case and no instrument. They open it up, they're like, oh no, because they just practiced the night before or something.
Especially the string instruments, because they're so
Oh.
light.
Yeah, it was actually a trumpet and a flute.
Nice.
Yeah, both. Anyway, the boy who left his trumpet, actually, he works for VSB Moving Company now. So I'm like, hey, remember that time you were on a trip, you forgot your trumpet? Yeah, so then it's disappointing if you don't have your instrument. Also check for neck straps, stuff like that for like the kids who play saxophones and those instruments that require like something to help hold it together. If you don't have a music stand, you should invest in one. First off, I'll say that because it is very difficult to practice properly without a music stand. A lot of students right now, and you're only in grade 8 or 9. So if you invest now, then it's really going to pay itself back. But I've seen a lot of students do things like prop their music up like on their bed practicing, or sometimes on the floor. And so it just is so much easier if it's at eye level.
Well, and it's better for your body.
Yeah, so much easier to see, so much better for your body, your posture, like how to play your instrument, learning how to play it properly. But if you don't have a music stand, we will be able to supply you one. We would appreciate knowing how many you need. We have about 23 folding stands that we'll carry in a case with us. So if it goes beyond 23, then we'll have to bring some metal stands. I'll put a post out about that soon. So just like one thing that I think is really important for everybody to know is that you should just stay alert to the Teams post. We will continue to post things on Teams, asking quick turnaround questions because it's a fast way for us to communicate out to students. It's a lot more difficult for us to be writing like those MyEd emails, which takes like about 20 minutes to get out one message.
Well, if your kid's in multiple groups,
And then
you've been getting multiple
Also too many emails out. We did create like a list, almost all of our email addresses for just our students going on this trip are now like recorded, but it takes way less time for us to communicate to students on Teams.
On
Yeah.
the topic of emails, there is a couple that shot back undeliverable messages, so I have to
Oh, no.
troubleshoot who those are.
Okay.
Because MyEd doesn't give us the undeliverable message if
Okay.
it's through MyEd, but I'll have to troubleshoot who those are, and then we'll have to ask those kids for an updated email.
Okay, thanks for informing us of that. I will supply strings for the students who are renting string instruments. I can also, of course, like if somebody's string breaks, like I will put my like own string on it from our storage. It's just that then I have to ask students to pay us for it. So it's still there. I will have backup strings if you don't have any for your string instruments, if you own your own instrument, but you'll have to pay for them if it's not a rental from the school. 3 working reads. So students should start asking us for reads if they need it, if they don't have 3 working reads. And overnight linens and bedding. So sleeping bag, bottom sheet for mattress, that's optional. They say that they sanitize mattresses between use, but like, I don't know, some people might not want their like face and body to touch the mattress. That's me. OCD. So I'll be bringing my own bottom sheet. So I have to worry about that, and pillow, of course, as well. They don't supply any of the linens, so towels too. So I know that students are going to all be able to go take long 15-minute showers, but if you need to do some cleaning up in the washrooms, then it's important that you guys have towels for that, because we're not getting any from the Loon Lake. Toiletries. So just go through this list when you're packing. Make sure you got your toothbrush, toothpaste, brush or comb, soap, shampoo, conditioner, not provided, deodorant, contact solution or glasses, feminine care supplies. We always have backups of some of these items as well, especially the feminine care supplies. I make sure to pack some. So if students, like if something comes up on the trip, then just let me know. Sunscreen and bug spray. I don't know like what Loon Lake is like, and it's early in the season. But I don't know, just in case, if you have a child who's extremely sensitive to, I don't know, insects, then it's not a bad idea, because otherwise it can be annoying when you're sitting around a campfire. And the day backpack, the most important item there being the water bottle, which is like very, very important to stay hydrated on these trips. It can be, even for myself, I sometimes need a reminder to stay hydrated, because constantly moving around and going from point A to point B. And yeah, so it's important to stay hydrated. Otherwise you can get headaches and etc. There's an itinerary lanyard. So everybody will be given a lanyard that has their name on the front, as well as their chaperone groups, and it'll also have like their room on it so that people know who they're rooming with, or like can figure out who they're rooming with. It'll have an AM itinerary and a PM itinerary, or one itinerary for the day, and then they flip it, or given one at night. And there's also medical information, or I don't know if we're going to do that this time because we're not like actually out and about.
Yeah.
Don't know if it's worth it, but our names and numbers are on there. I will say though that like the kids are going to be on site at all times, under pretty direct supervision from adults,
Yeah.
as opposed to taking any time away from the chaperones of the trip. So we're less concerned about this than we normally would be, because when they go and they do like maybe a dinner out and they branch out into groups of like 3 or more, and they're downtown Victoria for an hour, and if something happens and they don't have our numbers, then that's a huge, huge problem.
Yeah.
So that's why these are so important. It's really for the contact numbers of the adult chaperones. And that has happened on trips before where the students didn't show up at the time, and phone died. They had to go find like a police officer, and fortunately they had our phone number on them. And so that's why we do it. It's a good system. It seems to work and prevent emergencies from taking place. A few points about electronics. And I think that this is just an interesting year for electronics. We've noticed students way more addicted this year than usual. It's actually like a major concern for Elizabeth and I in our classes, as I'm sure it is for you at home with your children as well. That we have to tell them very frequently to put their phones away and out of sight. And it is, I think, a nice opportunity this trip for students not to be like just staring at their phones, like just, enjoying the other activities and enjoying each other and socializing in a different way than through their phones. So don't bring your phone if you're worried about losing it or damaging it, because can happen. Be careful. And you're also welcome to like put it in your room for the day and lock your room, but it could get stolen. Some of these things are not guaranteed, right? So if you're not prepared to lose it or break it, I recommend just not worrying about it. I don't even know what the Wi-Fi is like there. I've heard from a couple students who've been before that there is Wi-Fi, but that it's spotty. So it might not be, the easiest to communicate with your children at all times. If there's an emergency though, you have been given our phone numbers in that initial parent letter. Don't
what?
email
I'll
us,
post
call us. If there's an emergency, you need to get a hold of your child, do not email us. The chances of me checking my email, I'm just going to say it, I didn't check my email once when I was on the Victoria trip because I never had time. But my phone is right there with me, and it's like sending me alerts to my watch as well. So, and that I knew to have that on for emergencies. So my phone was never off of me because it was on for emergencies at all times. So if there's an emergency, you need to get a hold of your child right away, please call or text.
Yeah.
Okay. Earbuds, don't have them on when you're walking around. If you're in your room, of course you can have your earbuds on, right? You need downtime too. On the bus, totally fine. We recognize that kids need some downtime. Kids need some time to like be self-isolating versus socializing with each other. So long bus, night, no problem. Okay, now it's on to the code of conduct. I don't know if I had the code of conduct open on my computer. So
definitely did it.
you didn't either? Okay, so I'll go into the team. You guys can,
I do have it now.
okay. Teams files are for tours and then code of conduct. So the last thing I'm going over today is the code of conduct. And then of course, like I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I know everybody signed the code of conduct and everybody signed the parent form as well, but I just want to go over the importance of some items on this. And this is basically the student meeting that we do. This is what we go over with the students in the greatest level of detail, because we don't have time to do all of the stuff step by step. But we have to do this. We must do this because this is preventative and making sure that the trip is fun and safe for everyone. So students will treat all students, chaperones, and other field study participants with respect and follow the instructions of chaperones and supervising adults at all times. And so this means we're listening. I know it can be very exciting when you're with your friends, but we're listening when chaperones have something to say, and that we are recognizing the needs of others around us. We're just being respectful of that. This one is also important. I don't know exactly what Loon Lake is going to look like, but I will say that this has happened on a trip before where a student, excitable, despite multiple warnings, did not follow instructions and damaged like a railing on a property and broke it. And then they've had to pay like $300 or $400 after. So it's really important for everybody to understand that if you are, if you're able to talk to your children ahead of time about this, like, again, children are being watched at all times and they're always given warnings and multiple instructions to do things. It's really important to, back to point one, just listen to the chaperones if they're telling you to do something.
And don't climb any fences.
Don't climb fences. Just don't. Yeah. We actually aren't doing any climbing on this trip. I know that some of the kids were disappointed because the Pinnacle Pursuits form seems to suggest that we're doing very dangerous activities, which we are not. Yeah, just so you know, we are not doing any really dangerous activities. I was actually very adamant about that with Pinnacle Pursuits. I didn't want to do any level 3 activities that could, end up causing actual harm to students.
Yeah.
So, okay, just so you guys are aware. So this is an important one. Students will refrain from interfering with the enjoyment of others during the excursion. Let me think of an example of this. I guess it might just be if somebody tells you no, if you're in a situation and somebody says, no, please stop. Just stop whatever you're doing. Because I know some students can be kind of relentless when it comes to maybe they're excited and they're yeah, if somebody's saying, please stop, just stop. Be respectful of the needs of other students. In terms of disruptive behavior actions that would bring discomfort to others or dishonor to the school.
The biggest one is just the sleep thing.
Yeah, it's true. The one that's the most obvious for sure is the sleep one, discomfort to others. Dishonor to the school. I think that that can be so many different things. And I think a lot of it is the point below here. So I'm just going to go on to the next one, dishonor to the school. Alcohol, drugs, tobacco. Marijuana is one that could possibly be in vapes at this point too. And just vapes in general. So tobacco and vapes, or vapes with cotton candy or whatever. None of that stuff is allowed on the trip. None of it's allowed. And I just want to make it really clear to students and parents that if a student is caught with any of this stuff, then it's important that they recognize that that means this trip is done for them. The trip is done. They're not allowed to continue on the trip at the point where any of this stuff is noticed. Mm-hmm. And so something else I like to talk to the students about, and fortunately, or hopefully grade 8, it's not going to be as bad, but if students are finding themselves or parents are noticing their children are in a position already where there's any level of addiction, it can be quite important for students to recognize that a whole day or two away, if you have an addiction to something, is going to be very difficult to manage, even at this age, a day or two away. I have unfortunately dealt with this on trips previous, never on a junior trip with anything more than vaping, but we have dealt with vaping on trips before in the past. And I really want to emphasize the importance of not doing this on a trip. It does bring dishonor to school. It also can result in your teachers having a miserable time. And I'll explain the importance of that. Miss Riekert and I cannot do this trip well and be like interactive and engaging and having fun with the students while also playing detective. It is the worst. So I've done it before. And, you know, to be honest, whenever that happens, it makes me not want to do the trips anymore. So students need to understand how exhausting dealing with any kind of contraband items are on a trip for us. It's exhausting. So very, very important that nobody brings any of that stuff and that there is no, I don't want to hear a whiff of this happening on the trip. Oh, no problem. It was nice meeting you. Okay, bye. Yeah, so not even a whiff. Don't want to hear about after the trip. Don't want to hear about on the trip. None of it. And that way, Elizabeth and I can actually have fun with your children, enjoy getting to know them better and having like a really awesome trip. So that's what the importance of this on the trip is. It's actually also so that everybody feels safe and comfortable and that your chaperones have a chance to get some sleep and relax and that kind of thing too, and not be on high alert, you know, 100% of the time. Speaking of that, it's going to be a little bit different this year because we're in cabins with shared washrooms. So I think that Ms. Rieger and I are going to have a conversation around how we will monitor students exiting rooms in the middle of the night, because it's absolutely not okay for students to go from their room into somebody else's room after the room check. And so what Ms. Rieger and I need to discuss is how we're going to go about enforcing that, making sure that that is something that all the students understand and are respectful of. Yeah. So this is TBD for Friday. So I'm glad that we're realizing what the room configurations are like right now, so that we can talk about it in preparation for the Friday lunch meeting. So there is a mandatory meeting at lunch on Friday for all of the juniors tour participants, where we read them essentially the riot act. That is basically what we do on Friday, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page. So if something does come up on the trip, that they know that we've talked to them about it.
That meeting's also recorded for,
Yes.
I believe the Strathcona kids are still gone on Friday.
Yeah.
So, we're essentially in like a gated community.
Would
And
you like me
then-
to pull up Loon Lake?
Yeah, so there's like big cabins. Yeah, like I imagine like Kim Kardashian would stay in one of these cabins by herself, kind of like. Yeah.
That's what we're going to need to do, yes. And so these are things that we'll make sure to have worked out before Friday of next week.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes. And so if something ever comes up in the night, yes, students will come to us. And it generally does happen at least once on a junior tour that somebody needs to come to us in the night. Hopefully though, if students eat well, because the food's monitored, it will be okay. Yeah, oftentimes it has to do with whatever was ingested earlier in the day, whether they're coming needing help in the middle of the night. So here's one of the, just as an example, here's the Johnson Lodge. So I'm pulling it up. So it's a big, like really nice, yeah, a huge cabin. And so this is like what the rooms in the Johnson cabin look like.
I'm gonna share it for you guys.
And so there must be one of the shared washrooms. And then there's a way to connect between the two cabins that is inside, but then it's also an outdoor area with seating. So that's the Johnson cabin. It is fancy. It's really quite fancy. It's not like you're camping, but it is in the sense that you are not given linens. The Pan Abode is another one that we are using. And the Pan Abode looks like this. So you can see the rooms there. And this one is in bunks.
And this one has mini kitchens, and we were told today that chaperones are allowed to use said kitchens if we wanted to bring things to give the kids as like.
Oh,
fun evening
nice. That's
snacks.
wonderful. Student Center is our biggest one, and that's where the gym is that we're using for some of our workshops, but all of them have like workshop spaces, but for like music ones, we're gonna use the gym. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. It was nice meeting you. Okay, and this is one of the rooms with like the shared 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beds. Okay. Yeah, so it's very nice. But yeah, every cabin is different. And so we're gonna have to try to figure that out. Some of that might need to be figured out by the chaperones once we arrive, and we'll give all the information to the students at night when we do the room checks. So we do make sure that the students are having a fun time. That's our most important part, is that everybody feels safe, happy, healthy, and is having fun. So that's what we hope to achieve in this trip with your children. I think that about wraps it up, but I'd love to answer any questions you guys have.
There was a question in the chat about the Friday lunch meeting.
Okay.
And it's at lunch. We usually start around 11:45 to give the kids enough time to go get their lunch if they're like a cafeteria kid.
Do we want to have it in here or the auditorium?
We should probably have it in the auditorium.
Because it's going to be a larger group this
60
time.
in here was
Was
more than
crowded. Yeah.
crowded.
Okay, so it'll be in the auditorium. And Elazar, I've got this.
It's here.
Did you give? Okay, Elazar, I have a form for you to finish asking your teachers to sign. And I guess the last thing is that some students don't have all the paperwork in yet. And so we've been tagging you on Teams. Like if you don't have your paperwork, we have tagged you on Teams for something. I did send Sammy home with something today that he thought he had signed, but he hadn't. So I sent him back to get his teachers to sign, like what I just did to Elazar there. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. It was nice meeting some parents tonight, seeing you in person.
Even though there wasn't many of you in
Fantastic.
person.
That's okay. It was more than the last parent meeting. We only had 2 last time, so.
It'll be nice to have more people in person again.
Yeah, it
eventually.
will.
Like to get to know all the parents again.
Yeah. I didn't go over the COVID rules in detail, but I guess everybody read over the COVID rules, and also the fact that we're only going, and it's only an hour away. I'm way less concerned about this than the trip to Victoria, which was, the boat ride over. The COVID regulations are that if somebody develops symptoms of COVID while they're on the trip, you need to come pick them up. But fortunately, Loon Lake is only an hour away.
Yeah.
Unlike Victoria, which is, 4 hours easy. So makes it a lot easier. And we'll do a daily health check on the bus before we leave. But if anybody is feeling sick the morning of, let us know. We'll do our best to refund as much as possible, but obviously some things will already have been paid for. Okay. Yeah, great. Okay, that's a wrap. Thanks for coming.
Forms Sammy's missing. You sent the code of conduct home today? Because he's also missing his teacher consent pinnacle. Do you remember what you sent home?
I gave him what was on my desk back, but no, I don't. Okay, yeah, you guys are free to go. Don't feel like you have to stay. Okay. Yeah. You're welcome, everyone. Bye. Yeah, of course. You know what? I'm just gonna mute.
Yeah.